Welcome to CAPM Exam Nano Bootcamp. This is where we're going to take a very quick look at the CAPM exam and what exactly is in it. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As project management becomes more popular, I see lots of people looking to take the CAPM exam, but not knowing where to start. So the goal of today's session is to take you through very swiftly, very succinctly, through what you need to know for your CAPM exam. CAPM just stands for Certified Associate in Project Management. This is quite popular these days because people getting into project management want a certification that is credible and that they can show to employers that they understand project management. In addition to the CAPM exam, as you can see in my credentials, I also have a PMP. And if I was a PMP looking for a project coordinator or a project person to work on my projects, I would definitely choose a CAPM if they had skills that were comparable to the other candidates. So the CAPM exam is a very good certification to start off with. I had a student that took the CAPM in one of my classes, and this individual was given employment in a government agency. And not only did she get employed, she rose to the top ranks and ended up pretty much leading project management in that entire agency in Arizona. It was quite remarkable. She didn't even need to take the PMP exam. She kept on saying, Phil, I got to take the exam, the PMP exam. I'll hit you up and take the exam. She never did, at least not to my knowledge, because this world of project management is not just about the certification, it's about what you can do with it. So a CAPM who can demonstrate leadership and initiative and understanding of project management, they're likely to go much further than others that may have even higher level certifications. So I want you to see the CAPM exam as being a worthwhile exam to take. It's not a pushover exam. And I know this firsthand because I took my first CAPM exam in 2011, I believe it was, because my students kept saying, Phil, you think it's easy. You should go take it. So I did. I took the CAPM exam in 2011. And then I took it again 5 years later because back in the day, you would have to take it every 5 years. So I've taken it twice, and I can tell you it's not a cakewalk. You do need to know your stuff. You do need to come prepared. All right. So jumping back into our presentation for today, I'm going to walk you through the CAPM exam and what exactly is required for it. But let me go ahead with a few introductions before I go any further. So my name's Phil. I've been a CAPM, like I said, since 2011, PMP since 2005. I took the CAPM again in 2016, and I have been training, coaching, helping people in the world of project management since 2003. I started off training Microsoft Project, and then when I got certified, I started training the PMP exam and the CAPM exam and all the other certifications that you see on the screen. In this course, not only will you see me, you'll also see my buddy, Roy Schilling. Roy Schilling is my agile coach. He's very proficient in the world of agile transformations, the world of Scrum, you name it. And he has been mentoring and coaching me for over 8 years now. So a lot of what Roy has taught me is now, surprisingly, on the CAPM exam. The CAPM exam now has a good dose of agile. The company behind the training, Praizion, we've trained various entities, as you can see on the screen. Now, project management is very important these days, and senior global executives, they understand that. In fact, they ranked project management as critical or somewhat important to the ability to deliver successful projects and remain competitive. So project management is a huge deal in today's world. In fact, it's a great way of you getting into the corporate world. Now, the thing about the CAPM exam that I like, it's a very accessible exam. It's so accessible that the prerequisites, what you need for it, is unbelievable. What you need to get CAPM certified boils down to a high school diploma. That's it, a high school diploma. And if you have that high school diploma, you can go ahead and take the CAPM exam. Now, before we go any further, let's jump into the CAPM exam. I'm going to show you what exactly the CAPM exam is broken down into and what you need to get certified, because I know some of you might be new to it. So I'll put a link in the chat, and the link is going to go to the CAPM exam content outline. This is a document that you can download from PMI. And once you've downloaded the document, you can read up all the details regarding CAPM certification, the syllabus, and so on. All right, so let me go ahead and put that in the chat. And if you get the link, please just send me a yes, I got the link. I want to make sure that everybody got the link. Let me just show it on the screen to be doubly sure that everyone has seen it. Okay, that's the link. So download that PDF, and this will help frame your understanding of this exam. So let's jump into it. Let's take a look at the CAPM exam content outline from the PMI. All right. So this is a document, right, that explains the eligibility requirements. And it says, to be eligible for the CAPM certification, you need a high school diploma, GED, or global equivalent, and must meet the project management education requirements. And these are the education requirements. You need 23 hours of education. That's all, 23 hours of education. Now, right off the bat, I know some of you who are, quick thinkers are asking, well, how do I get those 23 hours? To get those 23 hours, you need to take a course that is purposed towards project management. It says how to record your education during the registration process. Use the project management education section, and when you choose to record 23 hours of specific instruction that addressed learning objectives in project management, you must record all education hours, right? So if you haven't been for a project management training course, it's okay. I have a course that's available at capm.hpmexam.com. I'll put the link in the chat. And if you want to sign up, I recommend that you do so now, because we've got some really awesome offers for CAPM students. All right, just go to capm.hpmexam.com and you will be able to sign up for the program. And on the program, you're going to get this rather robust document. It's called the CAPM Exam Masterclass. There's 660 plus pages in there, and you'll be able to come aboard the program, do all the stuff online, and you'll also get this PDF book that will guide you, because I know some of you learn by just watching videos and some of you learn by reading books. So we'll give you that option. All right, so going down to that link and you can sign up right away. So as far as what is on the CAPM exam and how much it costs, you can also get the latest and greatest information about the fees. Now, the last time I checked, this exam was $225. And if you were a member of the PMI, you would get it for that. But if you were not a member, I think it costs more. So please go through this document and make sure you understand the pricing whenever you take the exam. It's not really that different from what it has been, but the pricing evades me. So let's see if I can determine that from here. It says, oh, for a manual rescore. Okay, let's just go back to the very beginning of the document, and let's see if we can figure out the pricing. I don't want to quote a wrong price, but I know that if you are a member, it is less than if you're not a member. Let's see, fees. You would have thought the fees would be here. So don't quote me on the fees, but I believe if you are a member of the PMI, $225. If you're not a member, I believe it's more. All right, and as far as what is on the exam, well, that's what this document is all about. And now that I've given you the link, you can kind of survey the document yourself, but I'll walk you through at a very high level what is on the exam. The exam is project management fundamentals and core concepts, predictive plan-based methodologies, agile frameworks or methodologies, business analysis frameworks, and that gives a total of 100%. And the way that this course that I just sent you, the capm.hpmexam.com, is broken down, we cover each of these sections. So we first do a big overview, and then we go into each of these sections. If you're getting ready for that exam and you have any questions about the syllabus, now would actually be a good time to begin chatting them in, because what I'm going to do is very quickly walk you through the syllabus. We'll be done in probably about 15 minutes. And if there are any questions, I'll take those questions after. All right, so let's jump straight into this. The PMI say in this document, you'll find an updated structure for this exam. On the following pages, you'll find the domains and tasks. So we've got the domains, we've got tasks, which are lower level under the domains and enablers. Very straightforward. So this is what your exam is going to be based on. Domain 1, project management fundamentals and core concepts. So you need to understand what project management is, what programs are, what portfolios are, the different areas of knowledge of project management. As you can see here, going into planning project management, there are 10 areas of knowledge: integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, communications, risk, procurement, and stakeholder. And you got to demonstrate an understanding of roles and responsibilities. So who is the project manager? What are they responsible for? The project sponsor, we call them the initiator as well. All that stuff, you need to know that. And determine how to follow and execute plan strategy. So understanding the 5 process groups and what it means to execute the project management plan. We also have demonstrating an understanding of common problem solving tools and techniques. There are many tools and techniques in project management, but some will be more emphasized on your exam. Going into domain 2, this is going firmly into the world of predictive project management. Again, all the stuff that I mentioned is covered in the book, but when it comes to predictive plan-based project management, again, you got to understand the process groups, the knowledge areas. You got to understand the world of scheduling, work breakdown structures, and things like that. Then we get into domain 3, which is agile. And I'll cover a little bit of agile before we move on today to close out. But agile is really just a philosophy. It's a mindset. It's a posture to the world around you that enables you pivot in an agile fashion, in a nimble fashion. So task 1, explain when it is appropriate to use an adaptive approach. We'll take a look at the Stacy model and explain that. How to plan project iterations. A very good example of this would be using iterative-based agile frameworks such as Scrum. Determine how to document project controls for an adaptive project. So we'll talk about things like burn charts, burn up charts, burn down charts. Key components of an adaptive plan, taking a look at some of the other frameworks like Kanban, and determining how to prepare and execute task management steps. The final thing we go into today, which is new to a lot of people, even in the world of PMP, is business analysis frameworks. We cover this very, very deeply in the capm.hpmexam.com course. We go into business analysis, we define it, we talk about the roles of business analysis, we talk about the tools of business analysis, roadmaps, the whole 9 yards. I'll show you a little bit of that before we close out today, but this exam is not to be trifled with. Don't look at the exam like, no, it's just an easy entry-level exam. No, it's actually become even more challenging. With business analysis and with agile, it's a lot more challenging. So let's jump into what we have in the slides for today. All right, so going back into the slide deck that I shared in the beginning. Here we go. So now we're going into some greater level of understanding of this certification. All right, one of the questions I often get is, what is the difference between the CAPM and the PMP? Well, as you see on the screen, the PMP is broken down into 3 domains: people, process, and business. The CAPM exam is broken down into the 4 domains that I just covered with you. PMP exam is 3 hours, 50 minutes. The CAPM exam is 3 hours. 180 questions on the PMP, 150 on the CAPM. You got 1 10-minute break on the CAPM, but the PMP you got 2. Okay. I would say that the CAPM is more knowledge-based. The PMP is more situational. It's okay to use the CAPM as a stepping stone into the world of PMP. Okay. All right. So, domain 1, project management fundamentals and core concepts. I'm going to distill it as easily as possible by talking about project management and a project. So, what is a project? It's a temporary endeavor that's undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Projects are different from operations in that operations continue, but projects end. Examples of projects given by the PMI, Pyramids of Giza, Olympic Games, and all the other examples that you see on the screen. When you ask the question, what is project management? There are many different facets to project management. You could say it's the discipline of working with a team to deliver value to the customer through collaboration, leadership, and execution of project tasks, enabling team task accountability, autonomy, and servant leadership. You can say it involves working on delivering value in various ways, mostly through a unique deliverable, which is a product, service, or result. I'll make the screen a little bit bigger because I understand that you cannot see it as well. So hopefully you can see it a lot better now. All right. Going to another definition of project management from PMBOK 7, it's the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. Project management refers to guiding the project work to deliver the intended outcomes. Project teams can achieve the outcomes using a broad range of approaches: predictive, hybrid, and adaptive. So if you ask anyone what project management is, like from the early 2000s in the PMBOK guide, it just stops at delivering the deliverable. But in today's PMBOK guide and in today's world, there are more variables, right? In the 7th edition, there are more variables, and I've put that into a slide here. So project management is leading people. It's leading them to incremental success. The idea of increments is very important these days. It's about making proactive changes to managing uncertainty. It's about applying skills. It's about reporting, and it's about delivering value. Now, in PMBOK 7, they really stress the understanding of output, of outcome over output. Output is a deliverable. Outcome is, when all is said and done, was the deliverable actually used? Did the user get a benefit? Like in this example, this is the project, right? The project was to create a deliverable, the cake. So that's the output. But the outcome is a happy customer. It's a person who feels full, they've eaten, they're not hungry anymore. So we have benefits, right? The benefit is, okay, this is something that makes me happy. Again, it's food that can fill me up. And ultimately, when you count all the benefits, that's what value is. Value is the net benefit. So the outcome that we're looking for is a happy customer as a result of all the benefits that the customer gets. Okay. Taking it up a notch into predictive versus agile project management, you can say predictive project management is pretty much a straight line. But when it comes to the world of agile, if you're applying agile to projects, agile, first and foremost, it's a mindset. And that has to crystallize and transform into actions. But it starts off in the mind. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but it's the one that has an adaptive mindset and that actually translates that into actions to change. So the world of predictive was a straight line. The world of agile is a bit zigzag. You do things in a series of iterations. Sometimes those are a green field, never been done before. And you end up doing a series of experiments to get to your end goal. And that's really what agile is. Now, when to use agile, because we talked about this. Let's zoom into the screen here. So if you take a look at this image on the screen, this is the Stacy complexity model. And the idea about the Stacy complexity model is our requirements could be close to agreement or far from agreement. Our technology, in terms of how firm we are on our technologies, it could be close to certainty or far from certainty. If we are close to agreement on our requirements and close to certainty on our technology, then we can use a predictive approach. As we begin to move further away to far from agreement and far from certainty, we're getting more into the complex zone. And this is where Agile thrives. Agile thrives best when there's high variability, there's a need to experiment, there's a need to discover. That is where Agile shines. So going in for your CAPM exam, you do need to know when to use Agile, when to use predictive. You also need to understand regarding scope and schedule and budget. In the world of traditional, scope is fixed. Schedule and budget are estimated or flexible. We flip that triangle on its head in the world of Agile. In the world of Agile, schedule and budget are what we fix down. We have a fixed time box. We have a team. The team size is pretty stable. And scope is what is flexible, right? Also, the idea of combining predictive and agile approaches is being talked about today. We call that hybrid. So understanding hybrid models is very important. For those of you who might even be thinking of taking a PMP, hybrid rules the world in PMP. It's so ridiculously hybridized. So going beyond this, it's important that you read your Agile Practice Guide if you're taking the CAPM, and you do need to know the differences between predictive, iterative, incremental, and agile. All right, so I did promise I was going to cover a little bit of Agile today, and that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. When it comes to the more predictive piece, you got to remember that there are 5 process groups of initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. And then you got to understand that under each of these areas, there's specific things we do, right? So in the area of initiating, we create the project charter. In the area of planning, we develop the project management plan. And I'm giving this to you at a high level, but if you were to zoom in, there's a lot more to cover, right? This is just a nano boot camp. There's a lot more when you come on capm.hpmexam.com. We're going to be breaking this down a lot more, okay? So there's monitoring and controlling activity, change requests that are reviewed, all that, closing out projects or phases. So there's a number of things that you do as a project manager, and you want to go into the exam feeling comfortable about all of these, okay? Moving on to the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, because I know some of you are wondering, do I read PMBOK 6? Do I read PMBOK 7? Well, if you've got a very good instructor, they'll kind of walk you through both because both are important. You don't have to read both, but it is important that you see the 7th edition as focusing more on the principles of project management, the 6th edition focusing more on the process predictive driven pieces. And then when it comes to the 7th edition, it goes into a few more areas in terms of the knowledge areas do not have specificity about measurement and uncertainty and delivery. So if you look at those 3 ones at the tail end, the PMBOK Guide 7th edition kind of focuses a little bit more on those. When it comes to development approach and life cycle in here in the PMBOK 7, that is covered a little bit in PMBOK 6 and in the Agile Practice Guide. So if you're wondering what is the difference between both, do I need to read both? You don't have to read them. Actually, if you're subscribed to our channels, our YouTube channels, and you're watching the videos that I'm putting out on the 7th edition, I've got quite a few, you are probably going to run into a video where I cover all this stuff. All right. In fact, I have 2 hours of nothing but PMBOK Guide 7th edition. If you're going in for this exam, it behooves you, of course, to know the principles of project management, be a diligent steward, make sure you're collaborating with a team, make sure you engage in stakeholders, focus on value. If it's not value, don't do it. Be a systems thinker, see the big picture and how things interconnect, demonstrate leadership behaviors, tailor what's on the project, build quality in, navigate complexity, be thinking about risk, optimize those risk responses, be adaptable, and also enable change. These are the principles. They're spelled out for a lot of pages in PMBOK 7. Okay, so at a high level, these are the principles. Again, going into the exam, you want to know them. My very first CAPM certified student who got certified the day before they changed the exam, which is funny because they said, oh, you're not going to have to take the new exam. Uh-oh, it was the new exam. He thought he was going to take the old exam, but he ended up taking the new exam. I think I have a video or two of him. His name is Yannick. So Yannick, he told me that on his exam, not only did he have agile and business cases and all that stuff, but he also had questions that tested logic and reasoning. It wasn't a rote, what is this process? No, it requires thinking, which is why I am recommending knowing your principles. Let's go through the principles very quickly. Number one, be a diligent, respectful, and caring steward. Not only should you look at yourself as a project manager, you should look at yourself as someone who is caring for the resources entrusted to you. Number two, create a collaborative team environment. It's your duty to ensure that the team is getting along. Not every team is as mature as others, so some of them need a little bit of hand-holding, a little bit of help. Next one is stakeholders. Effectively engage with stakeholders. Make sure that you have the stakeholders' interest at heart. Okay, so make sure that you are being a positive influence. Number four, focus on value. If it's not valuable, don't do it. Only do stuff that is of value, and value could be qualitative, it could be quantitative, but whatever you do, make sure you're thinking value. Next one is be a systems thinker, right? A project is a system. You need to see it as that. You need to begin putting on your systems interaction hat. Number six is leadership. Leadership is all about influence, as my mentor John would say. True measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. So it's important that you identify traits of leadership. The PMI have a very good breakdown in PMBOK 6 about leadership. I would highly recommend looking at that breakdown if you get a chance to. Number seven, tailoring. Don't use the same tools and techniques on every single project. Number eight is quality. What is quality? It's fitness for use, conformance to requirements, customer satisfaction, and Kaizen. That's what quality is. So always think about building quality into what you're doing. Number nine, navigate complexity. The best way to navigate complexity is to come in an agile fashion. So agile helps you cope with complexity by breaking it down into pieces. Remember the Stacy complexity model? We break things down to be able to cope with human behavior, system behavior, ambiguity, and other variables. Number 10, risk. You got to think about positive risks, negative risks. Positive risks, we call them opportunities. Negative risks, we call them threats. You got to understand we have different ways we can cope with positive or negative risk. With negative risks, I just say A-team. Avoid, transfer, escalate, accept, mitigate. ATEAM. For the positive risk, I just say easy. Take it easy. We have escalate, we have accept, we have share, we have enhance, we have exploit. And those are the positive. Number 11, adaptability and resiliency. You got to be adaptable and resilient. One of the ways you can be adaptable is being agile. In fact, we call agile an adaptable approach to project management. And resiliency is the ability to absorb impacts and to recover. So you need to build these intentionally into your projects. And last but not least, we have change, enable change to achieve the envisioned future state. All right, so all of those are areas in the world of PMBOK 7. We've gone through some PMBOK 6 stuff. We've gone through Agile. I would also call out this, the continuum of life cycles. It's definitely one you want to hone in on. We have all this stuff spoken about in the course. A lot of the PMBOK 7, in fact, we just go crazy in PMBOK 7. We called in few of our PMP certified project managers from Project Leadership Institute, and we went for 8 hours on PMBOK 7. So that is all at capm.hpmexam.com. For those of you just arriving, if you are wondering, okay, it's a lot of information, where do I start from? you need to go on down to capm.hpmexam.com. We got 23 hours of training for you right there. We've got a book of 600 plus pages. And then we have a group that we're building so that CAPMs will be able to speak to each other and they will be able to find solutions to whatever problems they are facing in their prep and be inspired, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, still in the area of the CAPM exam, I have to tell you, if you haven't read the Agile Manifesto, this is one you want to read. This is the guiding light for the philosophies, the mindset that I talked about. And if you haven't gone into this document, the summary is be customer obsessed, focus on getting working product out more than anything else, collaborate with the customer, and be responsive to change. Don't get mad when the customer wants to change at the last minute. Maybe they've got a valid reason. Maybe it will help them. Maybe it will help you. When it comes to the Agile Manifesto principles, there are 12 of them. And I'll just go through them very quickly. Number one, be customer obsessed. Number two, welcome changes even late. Number three, deliver working product frequently. If you can break it down into smaller deliveries, do that. Number four, have a mindset of collaboration with your business people or your customer. Number five, build projects around motivated individuals. That's a no-brainer. I mean, who builds projects around demotivated people? So some of this is just common sense. Number six, the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face. Now that's debatable. You got to remember that there was no Zoom, there was no all the social media, right? They didn't have all that back in '01 when they wrote this. But still, when we talk about the most efficient and effective in 2024, it's not good. I have to tell you this because it comes up in my class all the time. A lot of interesting arguments. Oh, this is wrong. We use Teams or we use Zoom and we find it to be effective because people are on different time zones. But anyway, take it with a pinch of salt. Whether you like it or not, face to face is content rich. Alistair Coburn has shown this in various studies how the richness of the communication just goes up a notch when you add the visualization and you add the body language. Professor Emeritus Albert Morabian has shown this to be true as well. Right? Number seven, working product is a primary measure of progress. People don't care whether you're 99% done. They just want to know, are you done? Are you 100% done? Number eight, agile processes promote sustainable development. So don't kill the team, right? Just be slow and steady, like the tortoise. You know the story of the tortoise and the hare. Just be slow and steady. Number nine, pay continuous attention to technical excellence and good design. That's what makes you agile. When you do things excellently, you cut out the fat. And agile is all about cutting out the fat. Number 10, keep things simple. Keep it simple, sir. Keep it simple, sister. That's what this is saying. Number 11, the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. And at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective. In other words, they Kaizen, right? They Kaizen, they have a retrospective, they're always looking to improve. All right, what else can I show you before we hop off the call today? Because there's 300 slides. I can't show you all of them, but I can show you what is most important. All right, let's do this. Let's jump into domain 4 because this is one that is relatively new for people. And it's a business analysis framework and it's 27% of the exam. All right, so the first task is to demonstrate an understanding of business analysis. And I'll just show you what business analysis is at a very high level. Let's talk about the business case for business analysis. Why do we need it? 47% of unsuccessful projects fail to meet original goals due to poor requirements management. The organizations that demonstrate maturity in business analysis are 55% more successful in implementing strategy and are much more likely to achieve expected value from the investments made on programs and projects. That is a business case for business analysis. So business analysis, we can take a look at it as the application of knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques to determine problems and opportunities, to identify business needs, to elicit, that word elicit is important, the drawing out elicit, analyze, and manage requirements, define benefits and approaches for measuring value, and realizing value and analyzing results. That's what business analysis is in a nutshell. The BABOK definition, the BABOK is not from PMI, but I thought it would be interesting to look at a comparable organization's definition. And they say the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders enables an enterprise to articulate needs and the rationale for change and to deliver and describe solutions that can deliver value. So if I was going to explain business analysis to you in a nutshell, what I would say is business analysis is the art and science of understanding the business case, drawing out or eliciting those requirements, effectively documenting, cataloging the requirements, finding holes in the requirements, filling up those holes, getting a progressive understanding of the requirements, and then working with the team as the project unfolds to ensure that the necessary testing, the necessary evolution of the requirements through the process to the final deliverable is intact. So there are many things we could define business analysis as, but chiefly we talk about the elicitation and the effective management of the requirements. So who is the business analyst? Who is the business analyst? Well, business analysis may be performed by different people regardless of their title. So you could be a project manager and you may still be carrying out business analysis functions. You could still be a project coordinator, maybe doing business analysis functions. So the term business analyst, a business analyst is someone who performs business analysis processes. So whether you're the project manager, don't feel insulted. Some people say I'm a project manager, I'm not a, and honestly, business analysts are awesome. I've worked with a number of business analysts. I worked with a very good one at American Airlines. And honestly, without the business analyst, the developers, they don't understand the business rules. They can code quite all right, but a lot of the business rules and a lot of making sense out of what the customer wants is the business analyst that does that. So when you take a look at business analysis versus project management, the definition of business analysis, the set of activities performed to support the delivery of solutions that align to business objectives and provide continuous value to the organization. Project management, applying knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities. The focus on business analysis is the solution. Got to make sure you understand that solution even before you're out of the gate. Something that is to be produced to deliver measurable business value. On the flip side, project management is all about the project. All right, that's our focus. So while we're working together, we have different areas of focus. There are different roles and responsibilities. There are too many to go into, but I want to assure you on our course at capm.hpmexam.com, we are going in. We're going in for the kill on these ones. We've got very good understanding. I'll give you the top of the waves of a few of them. So business stakeholders and customer, these are your internal or external entities that will be affected by the project. The design team, we also take note of what governance is, right? What it means when we say government. All of these definitions are very well covered in the course. But when you go further outside of just the business analyst, you should be talking about product managers and their product owners. Now, the word product manager may not really come out on your test, but you will find this in the real world, and it's good to understand the difference. The product owner, which we hear a lot about in the world of Scrum, they're more tactical. The product manager is more strategic. They're focusing on the long range, long-term vision, company objectives, and the market. The product owner is really just thinking about the sprints, ultimately coming out with that PSI at the end of every sprint, and they translate the product manager's strategy into actionable tasks so that they work through those sprints. But what happens when the PSIs, the accumulation of all the PSIs, you got your final product, that big collection of all of the incremental PSIs, what happens? That's the product manager's job. The product owner's job generally stops when the endeavor comes to an end. Maybe you did 50 sprints. You came up with this really awesome deliverable, right? The product owner's job stops there. The product manager's job is more strategic. It's focusing on long range for many years to come, because when you're working on a project, the very first go round is just the beginning. That product is going to live for a lot longer. An example of that would be the iPhone, right? The iPhone is alive and well. Even though Steve is no longer with us, the iPhone's still alive, right? Because it's going through this constant metamorphosis, if you will. Good evening, our friend NC Worker. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for your fellowship and jumping on these calls. All right. So I've just talked about the difference between the product manager versus the product owner. Let's go into a few more things before we close out tonight. So I was saying that business analysis is very important. I think what I should do to close us out, let's talk about the knowledge areas of business analysis. There are 6 knowledge areas of business analysis, and there are also 6 process groups of business analysis. So let's first of all take a look at the knowledge areas. Number 1, needs assessment. Number 2, stakeholder engagement. 3, elicitation. 4, analysis. 5, traceability and monitoring. And 6, solution evaluation. These are quite self-explanatory. Needs assessment is at the very, very, very beginning, before the beginning, right? This is even before the charter is signed. You're analyzing the current business to see what is necessary to get the value. Then next is stakeholder engagement. You identify those who have an interest in it. Then you elicit and draw out the requirements. Then you analyze those requirements. You break them down. You make sure you understand the requirements. Then we get into traceability, right? Tracing those requirements back to their origin, tracing each requirement to whatever product component, and then solution evaluation, validating a full solution, making sure all those requirements are now inherent in the deliverable. That's what we do. All right, and then we have the 6 process groups of business analysis: defining and aligning, then the familiar ones, the regular suspects. This is where the project management advantage kicks in, because you know about initiating and planning and executing and monitoring and controlling. And then we have releasing, right, which is similar to closing. But those are the 6 process groups of business analysis. Now, if that wasn't enough, I'll scare you a little bit further. In the course, we go in for the kill. Like I said, we're going to be covering all the knowledge areas, all the process groups of business analysis. And we're doing this so that when you go into the exam, whichever way they come, like I told you about Yannick went into the tests. Thank goodness we'd already trained him on some of this stuff, even though he didn't know he was going to be taking that exam. But he got all these business analysis questions and agile stuff, and he did very well. All right. So if you are looking to ace this exam, want to recommend you go to capm.hpmexam.com. We've got a really ridiculous deal going right now. That deal is so good. And actually, the deal that you get, I'll just say that the cost of the course, right, is not even as much as how much the book should be. But you're going to get the book, and then you're going to get the course. Okay? Thank you very much. If any questions come up after the fact, I want you to go ahead and just put them in the comments, because there'll be a comment box. If you are just arriving and you're wondering, how do I get to that hpmexam.com, I'll just put that in the chat one more time, and I'll show that on the screen. It's that right there, capm.hpmexam.com. All right, get on the program, join the LinkedIn group when you do, and let's work together to get you CAPM certified. And after you get CAPM certified, we're going to be working on other things. Whatever you need, whatever you're looking to do in project management, I've got you covered. So it's not, oh, I got CAPM certified and that's it. No, that's why we have a group to sustain your interests. All right. Thank you very much for joining me. I wish you all the very best. Take care, and bye for now.